Thank you for joining me behind the wheel of the 2007 Honda Ridgeline. Recently, the Maintenance Minder displayed A136. In English, please see the description. In this episode, time allows for an oil change. And before its completion, the Fumoto Oil Drain Valve 106 series is installed. Fumoto from here on out refers to the Fumoto Oil Drain Valve. Oil changes are easier with the vehicle lifted. Stop blocks are in place. Resting the vehicle on jack stands as the load is not to remain on the jack. Removing the front passenger tire gives access to the oil filter. It certainly is possible to remove the filter without removing the tire. This method is much easier. In addition, a tire rotation typically is done. An impact driver makes for quick removal. The oil catch pan has been outdoors for some time now, and before putting it in service, it needs to be dusted off. At this point, the oil drain plug is being removed. It has to be loosened, and this is challenging. This part of the oil change procedure will not be missed. No matter how careful, spills happen. For that reason, pig absorbent mats. And finally, there we go. Removing the oil drain plug. This section is very messy. There's a technique to removing the oil drain plug which will result in a cleaner oil change process. The idea is to maintain a grip on the plug while loosening. Fumoto will solve this problem permanently. Loving it, loving it. Somehow the oil plug escapes and the oil comes gushing out. Fortunately, this is the last time this will happen. It's very surprising how quickly 4 quarts of oil drains from the engine. Spills are a concern. Below the oil catch pan is a pig absorbent mat. Any oil running over the catch pan's edges will be caught by the absorbent mat. What was not shown is the removal of the oil inlet cap accessed from under the hood. Next is the removal of the oil filter. This oil wrench was obtained after having to improvise to remove the oil filter in one of the oil changes. This experience felt closer to having a guaranteed way to remove the oil filter. A twist being put on the oil change. After some time of draining, fresh oil is poured and allowed to drain out. To install the Fumoto oil drain valve, an extension is needed. In plumbing, this is a nipple. Without a nipple, Fumoto for short, cannot be threaded tight on the oil pan. The details of the part numbers, torque specs, socket sizes are in the description. After the extension is installed, Fumoto is installed. The last step is to install the retainer clip. The retainer clip is not needed but is probably perceived as being better. It may be possible to get by without the extension. Try installing Fumoto first. There's not much room under the vehicle. Before heading under the vehicle to install the nipple, making sure the correct socket is selected. Before beginning, visualizing the parts being put together. There are a couple of ways to torque Fumoto. One is using the torque specifications found on their website. And there it is, 106 series, 18 foot-pounds. The other method is to hand tighten, then turn an additional 1/8 to a quarter. Scrolling back up, there is a strong warning and how to read the series and torque range chart. As for the nipple, that was torqued at the vehicle spec. In retrospect, torque at the same number as Fumoto. It's now onto the install. The instructions are to clean the area. Well, in this case, oil kept dripping in droplets. Not much, but enough to be ignored and continue the installation. In retrospect, the recommendation is to torque to the same specification of Fumoto. The next step is to install the Fumoto drain valve. The valve has to be positioned exactly where it is going to be. It does not swivel. It may appear that it swivels, but that's not the case at all. Once tightened, it will not move. After a minute or so of contemplating the position, torqued to final spec. Fumoto does hang lower than the original drain valve. However, it does not hang lower than the framing members of the car. The website did warn of this. Nevertheless, it's best not to run over anything. Various positions were tried. In practical terms, having Fumoto valve point down towards the oil pan was the best solution. A slight angle is okay. And there it is, the future of oil changes. The oil filter is replaced and torqued to spec. The wheel is then replaced, but first some of the buildup is brushed off with a wire brush. The wheel is replaced, the nuts are hand tightened, the vehicle is then lowered slightly just to give enough ground contact to the tires so it won't spin. Then the nuts are torqued to the specifications, 80 foot-pounds. After cleaning the oil drill pan, this project is done. The next oil change should be very, very quick. In fact, jacking the car up may not be necessary. A well-maintained vehicle is a safer vehicle. Keep safe out there.